Most tax pros leave a message.
It's Jane. I'm moving on to a TurboTax expert who beat your price. Adam Devine, tell him how I feel.
Hey, tax pro, she's been thinking twice. Best believe TurboTax will beat your price. This is a tax break.
Switch to a TurboTax Live expert and we'll beat what you paid your pro last tax season. Make the switch at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice. TurboTax full service only. Sign up by 12/20/2024 and file by 4/1/2025. Full details at TurboTax.com/beatyourprice.
This is the sound of your ride home with Dad after he caught you vaping. Awkward, isn't it? Most vapes contain seriously addictive levels of nicotine and disappointment. Know the real cost of vapes. Brought to you by the FDA.
1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
Fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honey Bee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome once again to Monster Movie Fun Time Go and 31 Days of the Dead. Day 4. Today, Honeybee is back with me, and we're talking about the 2004 romantic zombie comedy Shaun of the Dead, or as I prefer to call it, Yvonne of the Dead. Honeybee, you've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love this movie. This is definitely one of my favorites. I have seen it so many times. And in 2004, I was in the 7th grade, and this movie was all of me and my friends. Like, first of all, we loved zombie movies. We would always talk about, like, what we were going to do when the zombie apocalypse happened, how we were going to survive, who was going to do what. We would even have, like, one time we had a 24-hour movie marathon of just zombie movies, and all of my best friends came over and stayed the night, and we just, like, ate snacks and tried to stay up for a full 24 hours and watch zombie movies. So yeah, this movie is, like, one of my favorites. I love it so much. I also just love these guys in general, and pretty much anything that they made or did, I just love.
You mean Simon Pegg and
Yeah.
his buddy
Yeah.
Nick Frost? Nick Frost?
You know,
Well, this is
they the shit.
This is the first film in what is called the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy of films. Are you familiar with that at all?
I think I know what you're talking about. Is it like you're talking about these guys specifically?
Yes.
Like
yes.
their films? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Then yeah, totally.
Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright, who's the director and co-writer, and I believe Nick Frost is in all of them as well. They have these 3 movies that are called the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, or sometimes just the Cornetto trilogy, which includes this, Hot Fuzz, and The World's End. All 3 of these movies have references to Cornetto ice cream cones in them. But they also share just themes and a creative team and a general tone.
Oh, it's so good.
They're not connected narratively. They're not a trilogy in the general sense, traditional sense, but they're connected thematically. Similar to Terry Gilliam's Time Bandits, Brazil, and The Adventures of Baron Munchausen. He kind of considers those a trilogy thematically, but they're not directly connected. The title, of course, is a pun on Dawn of the Dead, Shaun of the Dead. But I don't think it's a coincidence that his friend Yvonne also rhymes with that. I love this movie. It's hilarious, but it's also a good zombie movie. There's also some really touching moments in it. Love Simon Pegg. Nick Frost is funny, but I kind of hate him in this movie because he's just such a fucking dumbass asshole at times. I mean, honestly, he deserves to die. Just his dumbassery and tomfoolery and fuckwatery throughout the film. He really is holding Shaun back.
Yeah, Shaun's holding Shaun back.
Well, but it's not helping. Let's mention the cast here, or our stats. I said 2004. It's 99 minutes. The budget is $6 million. The box office was $38.7 million. The stars are Simon Pegg as Shaun, Kate Ashfield as Liz, Lucy Davis as Diane, Nick Frost as Ed, Dylan Moran as David, Bill Nighy as Philip, Penelope Wilton as Barbara, Jessica Stevenson as Yvonne, Peter Serafinowicz as Pete, and Rafe Spall as Noel. But we should also mention that there is a cameo by what's-his-face?
Pauly Shore.
No, not Pauly Shore?
Oh, I thought maybe there was there's an extra that like looks like an extra zombie. Not an extra zombie, but an extra who is a zombie who looks like Pauly Shore, and I wasn't sure.
No. What the fuck's it? The guy from the things, from The Office, and from Bilbo Baggins. Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman. Martin Freeman.
Yeah, sorry.
But so Lucy Davis was in the original version of The Office with Martin Freeman. They're the Jim and Pam characters, but they have different names. I think it's Tim.
Oh, yeah.
Don't remember what her name was. Dawn. Tim and Dawn instead of Jim and Pam. So I think he's cast on purpose as part of the other little group because they were in The Office together. I think that's a little, a little inside joke.
Little Easter egg there for ya.
Exactly. So, I wrote a lot of notes. In the beginning of the movie, we see some shots of people that show us that they're already zombies. The zombie outbreak hasn't started, but they're already zombies.
It's so funny how they do this.
Walking through their life. Yeah. And it's
so good.
In this movie, we literally have a Chekhov's gun, as well as Chekhov's record album, Chekhov's open door, and so many lines and things that they're not necessarily Chekhov's things, but they're foreshadowing. They're telegraphing to us what's going to happen. Like when he says to the kid with the ball, "You're dead," and Pete tells Ed to go live in the shed, and at the end of the movie, he is living in the shed, or unliving in the shed. They never come right out and tell us what causes the zombie outbreak, but they make a reference to 28 days later and specifically tell us it's not that. Did you notice?
There's a few different moments where they're like flipping through the TV channels or like flipping through the radio, and it's like about to say what they think the zombie thing is, and then like someone will change it right before they actually say it. So funny. Yeah. So brilliant.
So early on, before it really starts, because we see it's so well done. Shaun leaves the house and goes down to the store on his way to work, and passes a bunch of people in the neighborhood and trips, and we see, and they're showing us that Shaun is oblivious to what's going on around him. He's not paying attention, and he's careless and clumsy. And we hear something on the radio about a deep space probe coming back early and crash landing somewhere in, I think they say, southern England. So I assume that this was meant to be the cause, but they never come out and confirm that. And I believe there's a lot of references to Night of the Living Dead, and of course and Romero in general, and obviously with the title Shaun of the Dead. But I think in the original Night of the Living Dead, it's implied that something fell from outer space, and that's what caused it, some kind of radiation or something. But yeah, they specifically say on the radio, on the TV later, that the rumor or the theory that it was rage-infected monkeys spreading it has been shown to be bull, and then it cuts it off before they can say shit. But at some point during all of this, Shaun runs into his old friend Yvonne from school, and then keeps running into her throughout the course of things. She's clearly doing much better than him. She talks about having bought a house. He's renting with 2 roommates. Well, one official roommate and Ed, who's just been living there, but without paying his share of the bills. But Shaun's stuck in a rut. His life kind of sucks. He's got this hot girlfriend, but he's not good enough for her. He's got a stepfather he doesn't like, a mother that he loves, a mother who Ed also loves. I love that part.
Well, they've been best friends since elementary school, so I guess it kind of makes sense that he would love his mom.
Yes, but he also seems to not just love her, but have a crush on her. He's always making references to. He makes reference to eating her out or going down on her or something.
Yeah, but I don't think he means Barbara specifically. He's like just doing like
no,
your
but then
mom
there's
just,
also
like, as a best friend.
Right, that's what it seems like at first, but then there's also just numerous times throughout because he doesn't call her Mrs. Whatever, he calls her Barbara, and he's always like, "Oh, hey, is your mom going to be there?" Kind of. He seems to have had a crush on her since he was a little kid. She's she's a MILF to him. Okay. And you didn't pick up on that? You didn't.
I
see it that way.
I didn't, but I believe you.
Ed is hot for Shaun's mom. Okay. I don't think he would ever do anything. I don't think he would actually do anything about it, but he's always happy to see her. But then the next he ends up getting dumped by his girlfriend because he fucks up, because he's always fucking up. And then the zombie apocalypse happens overnight while they're being drunk, and they just totally miss it.
Oh, it's so good.
And so the next day he goes through the same little walk out of the house into work, but because he's not paying attention, doesn't notice that everything is wrong.
Yeah, into the corner store.
Yeah. I did notice, though, because he was going to... it's a small thing, but part of the girlfriend's problem is that he's... you said you'd stop smoking. You didn't stop smoking. You said you were going to start going to the gym with me. You didn't go to the gym. So when he gets to the store, he reaches for a Coke, and then he puts it back and takes a Diet Coke.
And there are bloody handprints on the door.
Yes.
And he still doesn't notice.
He misses the bloody handprints. But to me, because this movie's so full of so many little tiny details like that. And to me, like, even that little thing was like, oh, this is Shaun saying to himself, no, I am going to try to do better. I'm going to get the Diet Coke instead of the regular Coke, because I am going to try to change and get better and get my girlfriend back. So I don't think that was just a random thing. I think that was a specific choice that was made.
The bloody handprints?
No, choosing a Diet Coke instead of a regular Coke.
Oh. Yeah,
that this was
so
part
that
of that this...
Yeah, but it's so well done that they just make it look like he really cannot see these bloody handprints. He even went back a second time to...
Yeah.
He's just very oblivious.
Yes. But no, I just like the little character things like that of I am going to quit smoking. I am going to do better. I'm going to choose the Diet Coke, but oblivious to what's going on around him.
Love it.
So, but the whole movie, though, it's about Shaun's been stuck in a rut, but all he needs is the push to step up, for something to happen to knock him out of his complacency and step up, and he does step up. He makes mistakes along the way, but he does step up and get shit done when other people don't know what. But the weird thing is, though, at the end, he goes back to what he was doing, but now he's got the girlfriend with him.
But now I feel
okay.
like I think it's a little more acceptable now because they're probably rebuilding the world and there's not much else to do except for like the small things that, you know, that are probably now big things in the new world.
Yeah. Well, the apocalypse seems to have wrapped up pretty quickly. It's a rare case where the authorities actually deal with the zombie apocalypse relatively quickly and efficiently, and things go back to, there are now zombies, but things go pretty much back to normal, and they just incorporate the zombies into society and culture.
Yeah.
without everything having been destroyed. But I think part of what they're going for is an idea of happiness isn't getting what you want, but being content with what you have.
Mm-hmm.
That once that because of what's happened, both Shaun and what's her name, Liz, now appreciate the life that they do have. Rather than worrying about the life they don't have, they appreciate the life they do have. And are content to enjoy it because they almost lost it all. And they didn't. They managed to save at least part of it. So I think
and Shaun really nuts up and becomes like the whole hero and like a whole man and like saves her several times and always has a plan. And so I think that, you know, he kind of gets his like character arc of like, I'm not just a worthless piece of shit, I'm a man.
Yeah. So and all he really had to do was just pay attention, you know, just make a little bit of an effort to not forget to make the dinner reservations, to get the flowers for his mother. But I want to talk about Yvonne a little bit, because that's why I called it Yvonne of the Dead, because while Shaun's doing his thing, his friend Yvonne is having her own movie off screen. And basically going through what he is, possibly a little more successfully, possibly not. Because about halfway through the movie, Shaun has assembled this little group. Of course, it's him and Ed. Their roommate Pete has gotten bitten and become a zombie, but Shaun and Ed, they defy government orders or government recommendations to stay where you are. Lock the doors and stay where you are. Do not try to get to your friends and loved ones. No, he's got to go get his mom, kill his stepfather because he talks to his mom on the phone and he's been bitten.
And he's never
then
liked
he's going to
him
go
anyway.
get... Yeah, he keeps saying he's not my dad, he's my stepdad. Then he's going to go, but he's been his stepdad for 17 years. And Shaun's only 29?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then he's going to go get Liz, and then they're going to go somewhere safe. They're going to go to the Winchester. Anyway, he takes Liz and then Liz's two friends, who may also be her roommates. It's a little unclear. But this other couple that includes the girl from The Office. And at some point, this whole little troop is making their way through a backyard, and they run into Yvonne coming the opposite direction. And she has a basically identical group of friends with her.
So good.
And that's where we see Martin Freeman. Her boyfriend is Martin Freeman. And then she has a couple of two other friends, a couple, and a kind of overweight loser who's her cousin, not her best friend, but it's her cousin. And they cross paths. At near the end of the movie, at the climax, when the army comes to rescue everyone, Yvonne is with them. I think she's actually brought them, I think, because he said he told her he was going to go to the Winchester.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm just realizing that at this moment, it's not a coincidence that she's with the army. She has told the army there might be some survivors at the Winchester because Yvonne is on top of it. Yeah. And she sees Shaun and Liz, and by this time they're the only two left of their little group. And she says, "Oh, I'm so glad to see you two. Is it just you two?" And they're like, "Yes." And she says, "Well, I'm glad that somebody made it." And we don't see any of her little group. Mm-hmm. So, although she has found the army and brought them to rescue, she seems to be the only one of her group that's made it through. So she's, in that way, been slightly less successful than Shaun. Martin Freeman did not make it. However, according to the special features on the DVD, Diane does make it. Were you aware of this? Had you seen this? My streaming, this is why I have physical media. I was trying to stream it and my connection just wasn't good enough. It kept pausing and I'm like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to go get the DVD.
Yeah, I watched the DVD.
And it's one of those 90s DVDs with a whole bunch of extra shit on it and a whole bunch of animated interactive menus that seemed real cool at the time, but now are just kind of like, oh God, I got to sit through this animation every time I go to the main screen. But there's a section on there under the extras called plot holes, and they're little not quite animated, sort of illustrated voiceovers where Shaun explains what happened when he led the zombies away at the Winchester.
Oh, yeah. I have seen this before.
Diane explains. So Diane, after her boyfriend David gets torn apart in the most gruesome part of the film, she grabs his leg. His leg has come off in her arm, and she runs out the door with her leg to try to save him, using his leg as a cudgel. And she explains so we just assume that she died, but in this special feature, she explains that she fought the zombies, realized it was too late to save him, so climbed up a tree and stayed there for days or weeks, I forget which, living off of his leg, eating his leg for sustenance, until she finally came down and discovered that everything was over and everything had calmed down. And now she is still in Christmas card contact with Shaun and Liz. And then the third one explains how Ed got from the basement of the Winchester into Shaun's shed. So yeah, I just thought I had watched this when the DVD was new, but I'd totally forgotten about it.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I watched it on DVD too, but I did not watch the special features. I did watch a blooper reel on YouTube when I was looking for it to stream, which was hilarious.
Yeah, it's on my Vudu. You can watch it there. But
yeah, I saw it. I saw it was on Vudu. It was on Prime.
That's on the DVD.
It was on a lot of different things.
It's on the blooper reel's on the DVD also. There's also a Dracula slot machine in the Winchester.
Nice.
This movie's just full of little Easter eggs.
Yeah, it really is.
Go ahead.
There were two extras that I could not stop watching every single time because it's the same zombies. Like basically every scene that there's a bunch of zombies, it's the same people, and which is great. There's two people who really stood out to me. It's this kind of shorter black dude. He does so amazing in every scene. They always put him right at the front, and I just know it was because he was such a badass. He just does really great facial expressions, and it's just so good. But then also the Pauly Shore guy, who's also in the front every single time.
I don't think I remember the Pauly Shore guy. I did notice, I wrote a note, groom, ? The first time he does his little trip to work, there's a guy standing behind him at the store who appears to be on his way to a wedding and might be the groom. He might be just a groomsman, but he might be the groom. But he's clearly on his way to a wedding. And then we see the zombie form of him later. He's missing an arm. This is when I think when he's part of the Chekhov's open door. Ed keeps leaving the front door open, and this guy comes stumbling in the front door of the flat of the house. And yeah, I noticed the homeless guy who asked for change, the boy playing with the soccer ball, the construction, the guy doing road work, all of the people in the neighborhood. Who are the people in your neighborhood? They're all zombies now. We see them throughout the film once the outbreak happens, and it's just more very close attention to detail. Yeah, every zombie in this is somebody specific that we probably saw earlier in the film. So that's great.
Beautiful. Do you like
my
this
other
better,
favorite part?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. My other favorite part, there's so many great parts, but my other favorite part is when Bill Nighy dies. Philip.
Why?
The stepfather. Because it's just so well done, so emotional and so
raw,
well done.
like,
They've
it
had
really
this.
Is so well done.
Yes, they've had this tense relation. He's his stepfather. Shaun. Anytime someone says your dad, he's like, he's not my dad, he's my stepdad. But they have this moment as he's dying where they, reconcile, where he tells him, I always loved you, Shaun. I thought you could do better. You just needed that little push. Where what he always saw as Philip being a dick was Philip just trying to get him to live up to his potential. Philip knowing that he could be better and being disappointed that he's not being better, and also I was your stepfather. You needed a father. You lost your father so young. I was your stepfather. I thought I could be your father, somebody for you to look up to. And, it's that Shaun doesn't realize that he loves Philip until it's too late. And It's just so sad. It's so sad that they couldn't have had this conversation earlier. And it's in the middle of this comedy, it's this moment of tragedy in the middle of this ridiculous comedy, but it fits. It doesn't, it works. You don't watch this thinking, well, what the fuck are you doing making me cry in the middle of this comedy? No, it absolutely works. And Bill Nighy's just so, he's great. He's always great. Even when he's in a piece of shit like the Underworld movies, he's great.
That's Gus's favorite role for him is in the Underworld movies.
Oh, those movies are so bad. But so
I think
what were you?
I have no idea, but I think one of my favorite parts of this movie is when Shaun and Liz and Ed are like killing zombies to "Don't Stop Me Now."
Yes. Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. Well, trying to kill one specific zombie, they're having a hard time killing him because they get caught up in the beat and they're not hitting him in the head like they should.
Don't stop me now. So funny.
Honeybee, what are you going to rate funny. Shaun of the... you started asking me if I liked this better. You started asking...
yeah.
That's what you started asking me. You were...
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you liked this one better or if you liked Hot Fuzz better or if you like between the three movies of these with these guys, the Cornetto trilogy.
I can tell you that I can tell you that I like The World's End the least. That one's my least favorite of the three.
Between Hot Fuzz and this one?
I think I like this one better, but Hot Fuzz is good, and it does have Timothy Dalton in it.
Oh, it's so good.
So I'm not gonna. I think they're both. I think I like them about the same. I don't know. I mean, I saw Shaun first, and it is a zombie movie, but I've certainly seen it more times. But Hot Fuzz is a good movie. It does have like witches in it though, doesn't it? Or druids or some. There's a cult in it.
It's a cult. Yeah.
It has its. It's not just the cop and cops and robbers movie. There's weird shit in it.
Yeah. I think another one of my like very favorite things about this movie is that when it came out like a week after or like 2 weeks after the remake of Dawn of the Dead, which I just think is fucking hysterical. And I just love that so much because like I love the remake of Dawn of the Dead so much, and it's just so funny that like that came out and it was such a good movie to me, and then like boom, this came out, and it's just like so it was just such perfect timing for that time, and it's just it's so good. It's so fucking good. It's so near and dear to my heart.
And I believe that Sean and Ed, Simon Pegg and Nick Frost have small zombie parts in Land of the Dead.
Hell yeah. Did you see that there's a Juan of the Dead?
Juan of the Dead?
Juan?
I did not.
It's like a Spanish
maybe I have
version.
Yeah, I think I did. I've seen that exists, but I have not watched it. That came out in 2011. Yes, the Dawn of the Dead remake is also from 2004.
Yeah.
So because I don't think they had met Romero yet, but I'm sure because of Shaun of the Dead and because of them being huge George Romero fans, I think Romero invited them to come hang out, and then had them dress them up as zombies and put them in a scene in Land of the Dead. I'm pretty sure that's the one they're in. So yeah, I don't think you can even. Yeah, Land of the Dead is just a year later, 2005, which we will be discussing at some point this season. We'll get to that when we get to it. So, Honeybee, what are you going to rate Shaun of the Dead?
Shaun of the Dead gets 5 brains from me.
It also gets 5 brains from me.
Do you know what vegetarian zombies eat?
What do vegetarian zombies eat?
Grains.
And what's their favorite mode of transport?
Trains.
All right, folks, that's going to wrap it up for today. Join us tomorrow for another in our 31 Days of the Dead.
Woo.
Please like and subscribe and give us a nice review and go to our Patreon and all of that stuff. Until next time, I have been Precious D.
And I've been Honey Bee.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements.
And please don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go. You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please consider rating and reviewing us on your podcasting platform of choice. You can leave us a message and find links to all our things at mmftg.com.